Hey y'all, it's Carla. Um, I'm going to do the 15 things you don't know about me tag because everybody's doing it, and it's just kind of the thing to do. And I want y'all to know I really dressed up for you tonight. I'm wearing my flannel pajamas. So here I am with my 15 things. It's November the 2nd. Wow, where's this year gone? November the 2nd, 2012. I really don't know where this year has gone. But anyway, all right, my 15 things that you don't know about me. Number one, I was premature. I was like 6 weeks premature. And then I had to stay in the hospital 6 weeks in an incubator. Um, and I was tiny until I was like maybe 8 years old, just really underweight. And the doctors told my parents they had to make me eat. Things were a lot different in the 50s than they are now. Doctors tell you now they'll eat when they're hungry. Back then they told you had to eat, and guess what? I ate. And from the time I was about 8 till, forever, I've been overweight. So anyway, number one, I was premature. Number two, I was on a special committee as a teenager, an advocacy group that I belonged to. I was on a special committee that advocated for the mentally handicapped, people that were in institutions. And we were able to make some major changes in the state for those people and how things were handled in the institution. And kind of in the long run, it started group homes in the state. I think most of you know I taught special education for 30 years, but that was something that when I was in high school that I was part of. I sang at my own wedding. I do sing. I have a minor in music. If I tell you too much, then I'll give you away a little more. But my husband did not know that I was going to sing. Nobody knew I was going to sing except the girl that was playing the piano and the preacher. So it was a real surprise, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I was a cheerleader coach. When I was in high school, I always wanted to be a cheerleader myself, but I was too fat. So when I started teaching, it was kind of one of the things that nobody wanted to do, and always the new teachers got that job. Well, when I got that job, I was ecstatic because I loved cheerleaders. And I did it on and off for, I did it probably straight for about 10 years. And we went to competitions, and we went to camp, and I went to all kinds of games. And anyway, I loved it. And some of my cheerleaders now are some really good friends. I love jewelry. That's number 5. It's my weakness. I just love jewelry. I know Rosemary and Belinda said they love shoes, and I do love shoes, but jewelry. Doesn't matter if it's costume jewelry, if it's expensive jewelry. I love jewelry. I met my husband on a blind date. A friend of mine that lives in Mississippi said she had a dream about Mitch and myself. And I said, "Who's Mitch?" She said, "Well, he's this guy that works with Bob," and that was her husband. She said, "I had a dream that y'all got married, and I just think that y'all are a perfect match. So why don't you come meet him?" I'm going, I've been on blind dates before. I've been, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go on another blind date. Well, she just wouldn't leave me alone. She said, "This dream, you don't know how real this dream was. You've got to come meet him." Well, like I said, I'm in Alabama. She's in Mississippi. I hadn't seen her in a while. I hadn't seen her kids in a while. So just to shut her up, I said, "Okay, I'm coming to Mississippi, and I'll go out with this Mitch." Well, she told me that he had brown eyes. She knows I'm crazy about blue eyes. We met at a small airport, air hangar, because he loved flying. and he wanted to show me around, and then we went to eat. Well, when we first met, he had on sunglasses. And when we sat down in the restaurant to eat, he took those sunglasses off, and I almost passed out. He had the most gorgeous blue eyes I have ever seen, and that was it. I mean, it was love at first sight. Long story, I think most of you know he passed away with cancer, but never met another person like him in my life. I don't think I ever will. I'm not saying I won't ever get married again, but I mean, we met in July. We got married a year later, same day in July. And between that time, either he was coming to Alabama or I was going to Mississippi. I mean, the road was hot. My car could have driven itself. Number 7. Okay, when I was young and stupid, I taught school for 3 years right out of college. And I thought I was in love with this guy. So I thought, and he lived in Florida. And I thought, I'm going to move to Florida. I graduated from the University of Alabama, and so I thought, well, I can go to graduate school at Florida State, because he lived in Tallahassee. I was born in Florida. I loved, even though y'all know I'm a fool about Alabama football and the University of Alabama, thought I can do graduate work at Florida State. So I quit my job. I applied to Florida State. I was accepted. I never told him. Like I said, I was young and stupid. Told him I couldn't get in touch with him. I was going to tell him I was moving. I couldn't get in touch with him, Guess what? He joined the Army. He was in basic training in North Carolina, South Carolina, I don't know. Anyway, and from there, he went to Germany. So there I was in Tallahassee, going to graduate school, and he wasn't there anymore. But you know what? I loved Florida State, and I loved Tallahassee. Stayed there for a year, did graduate work, then I came back and started teaching again. Number 8, I helped carry a balloon in Macy's, not Thanksgiving Day parade, one of Macy's 4th of July parades. Some of my cheerleaders were selected as all-star cheerleaders, and I took them to New York for that event, which was sponsored by Macy's, and I got to carry a balloon in the parade. I thought it was neat. Okay, like I said, I sang at my own wedding. In high school, I was senior class musician, senior class vocalist, so I sang at graduation and baccalaureate. Number 10, I am deathly afraid of spiders. I do not like spiders. And I've always been afraid of bugs and didn't like bugs, but I'm really deathly afraid of spiders now because I was bitten by a brown recluse. Long story, first year back from Florida State, I was in the Easter musical at church, and I was Mary Magdalene. And as fate would have it, my doctor was Jesus. After everything was over, he said he would have put me in the hospital if he had it to do all over again. But he was trying to get me through the music, so I'd go to practice, and he'd say, okay, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. And I made it through, and everybody said, it was like you were in so much pain. When Jesus died, I said, if you only knew how much pain I was in. Number 11, I love pork skins. And for, a weight surgery patient, it's not too bad. They have, for a serving, 9 grams of protein. Of course, I don't think I probably need to be eating them all the time, but for a snack, for something crunchy, I can eat pork skins. Number 12, I love roller coasters. The only problem is they don't like me anymore. I've had 2 back surgeries, and I have a heart stent, And you know, when you go, they have these signs that say if you're not tall enough, you can't ride it. If you have back problems, you can't ride it. If you have heart problems, you can't ride. They won't let me ride them anymore. But I love them. Number 13, I found out that I was a diabetic by helping one of my high school students write a paper on diabetes. His sister was a diabetic and he wanted to learn more about it, and he had to write a paper. So we researched it together, and I went, oh my gosh, this is me. I mean, all the symptoms I had, and I was having some major symptoms at that particular point in time. And I went to the doctor, and they slapped me in ICU because my sugar was so high. And so basically, the kid helped me find out what I needed to know. Number 14, I was a minister of music in a Baptist church for 15 years. My principal at school went to the local church, and they were looking for somebody as interim, and I taught chorus at school too, and he said, well, why don't you just come down and, fill in. Well, 15 years later, I was still there. So I've done all kinds of music things, and I love to sing. And at number 15, I have cracked or broken glass when I was singing high notes. I sing soprano, and I have cracked glass before. So, there you go. Those are my 15 things. And if you're watching this and you haven't done this, 15 things that we don't know about you, tag, you're it. Have a great weekend. Roll Tide.